Hello and welcome to the Clarity Quest, and now we're on week 5, so kind of halfway through now, and we're going to be talking about passion. Here we are on the map again. We've explored that world of your imagination and what was stopping you. Then we looked at creativity and how we're all creative but in different ways. Looking at seeds, where you're going to plant your ideas, whether they get drowned in the sea of negativity, but now they should be getting planted in the land of possibility. And then that bridging bit last week, it was about dreamers and doers. So, you know, where are you on this journey? So we were looking at reflecting back, and now we're going to be moving on to passion. But before we do that, so your mission was to reflect over the past 3 weeks, because whilst it's been a short time and it may seem that some of these activities are fun, you know, because I'm asking you to doodle and sketch and think about big dreams, you're actually having to dig deep with a lot of this stuff as well to gain clarity. So yeah, I understand it's you know, it can be quite bit like treading through mud, some of this stuff, to try and get that clarity, because if you're on this quest, it's probably because you're looking for something that you maybe haven't found yet, but we're looking for the clues on that journey. So looking over those 3 weeks, it's, you know, it would be lovely to know what activity you've found most powerful and what clarity you've gained. But indeed, it might not be that you've gained clarity. It might be that you're still feeling stuck. So before we move on to this week 5, where we're going to talk about clarity, let's just jump back and find out which activity you found the most powerful, what clarity you've gained, or if you're feeling stuck. Because let's try and catch up before we move on. So Chris, yeah, you've got your little finger in the air. Do you want to share with us where you're at?
Yeah, so it's confession time here, because I don't feel I can just hide any longer. I think I've got to say I absolutely love what you're doing. I love this mission. I love all the people that you have on board, but I just feel completely lost. And the best way I can describe it really in a way is I feel like you're in charge of an express train, and you're the driver, and you're charging through the countryside, and you've got all these carriages behind you, and they're full of all the other people that are on this quest, and they're all with you, and they're all excited, and they're going on this journey together. And I'm one of these little people, you know, used to see these movies and they have one of these push me things that they go up and down like this, and they're trying to keep up.
And the black and white movies where
Exactly. That's me. And I'm on a parallel track, and I'm going like this, like mad, trying to catch up. And I just feel like I'm just not catching up. I'm not on the same track, and I need to make that jump and that transition, so that I'm really embracing it all, because I love what you're doing.
Well, honestly, I'm so pleased that you're sharing that with me, because yeah, you might not be the only one that's feeling that. So yeah, it is a journey. We're all on different journeys. You're here because you're looking for something. You're looking for the clues. You might not necessarily know what that is. And it may be that, yeah, there's other people, you know, at the other side of that, on the push me, pull you. So I hope I won't go too fast on that, you know, freight train or whatever. I love the idea that there's little carriages behind, and I do want to be your guide through this. It's interesting when we did these summer quests to get feedback from people. And, you know, sometimes it's not always like in week 1, 2 or 3 that people gain clarity. It could be, and that's why also I invited people from the first quest to come on the second quest, and likewise, you know, you guys will be invited onto the next quest, because there becomes a point where you will have that moment of clarity where you go, right, I get it. This makes sense. I've just this thing that I've been stuck on, and that's why you're here. And we looked at that in week 1. It could be that, you know, halfway through, it might be towards the end. It might have been in week 1 for some people, but you get that moment of clarity where you go, ah, all the pieces of the jigsaw are now start. It's as if you've found that box lid, and then you can start putting the corners in, and then you can start building that jigsaw. But I get it, you know, when it feels like that you're playing catch up, and you feel like you're putting in a lot of effort, but you don't seem to be kind of like getting there and kind of getting on the train. So yeah, for you to understand that that is actually a natural thing. So it's not that you're like, oh, I'm on the wrong journey here. You know, this is not my train. It's possibly just like we haven't pulled into your station yet, if we want to use that analogy, you know, that so it might not be that we haven't reached the station where you go, ah, right, that was the bit, that's the moment, that's what I needed to hear at this point. And then when you do hear that point, that's why people have wanted to come back on, because it's like opening your eyes to something that was kind of almost hidden in plain sight, but until you see it, you can't move forward. But when you look back with those new kind of goggles on, it's like, wow, that looks completely different. So yeah, so don't feel, you know, and I appreciate the effort that you're putting in to try and keep up with it. But if there is anything, that's why I keep saying, you know, yeah, reach out to me. There's Q&A stuff. And thank you so much for kind of like speaking up about this. As I say, there might be other people feeling like that. But I want to take us all along that on that journey. Is there anything specifically that you kind of like would need more explanation on, that, you know, that do you feel like you haven't kind of caught up on any of it, or was there a specific bit where you felt like you jumped off the train? What do you think?
I think maybe we're all at different places when we're joining this train, you know. So
Yeah,
so for
definitely.
example, if I think of myself like Rick and Sophie, who are running the pub, and they're kind of looking to their future, and they're thinking, well, we don't always want to run this pub, we might want to do this, and we might want to do that, and they've all these ideas buzzing around in their heads, and I think they would get an amazing amount of benefit from this course, because I think that would I can see how that would work for them. I suppose because I'm retired and I'm very lazy, and I just quite happily plod along and do very little, thank you very much. Maybe I just didn't quite get in at the start at the right thing, and I think I maybe just need to go back to the beginning, and then I think it'll all come from there, won't it?
Yeah, well, we're going to be looking back at, part of the reason for looking back over the last 3 weeks was to kind of see how far you've come. But yeah, this reflection stuff, if you're stuck, then that's worth knowing as well. But it's also this week we're going to talk about passion, and we're going to be looking at your big ideas. And then again, it's a process. So I'm going to be asking you to pick one. But what I'm actually doing is I'm guiding you through a process. So all of these things, you can print out more sheets and, you know, watch replays and stuff like that, and actually go back through any of the points. And yeah, as you start, sometimes you write in your journal, and, you know, things will be revealed as you go along the process. We're looking for clues, but yeah, I completely get it that you might not have found what that was yet, or what the purpose is. This week's about passion, next week's about purpose, and we're going to be digging really deep into why. There's an exercise that we do, and sometimes, like, it was something Sarah Seed said to us years ago, your why should make you cry. And actually, when we start digging deep on that one, you kind of know when you get to the bottom, how many levels you've got to dig, that when you do kind of almost get to that point where you're feeling emotional, your why should make you cry, you might have uncovered it then. So it may be that it's still not going to be this week. So yeah, keep on the journey with us, Chris. You might have to be kind of like putting in a lot of effort on that push me, pull me thing, trying to kind of catch up to the train, but it won't necessarily be revealed at this point. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm just having a look in the chat as well. So Eleanor said she missed last week, so she felt that she hadn't caught up. So yeah, there's gaps where she's finished. And yeah, I don't want anybody to feel that if they've missed a week that they can't keep going or they can't catch up. I've been on courses like that, and it's horrible because you do feel like, oh well, you know, what's the point of moving forward? What we're doing on the Clarity Quest, it is a process that kind of like builds. So some of this stuff will be reflecting back. So I'll be talking about the storytelling suitcase, but using it in different ways. Today we're looking at the vision tree, but looking at that different way. I mean, it was last week when Amanda said, I'm sure it was last week when we did this tree, and Amanda came on and went, oh, I've just got it. Like it was a light bulb moment, a moment of clarity where she kind of saw that tree in a different way. So yeah, I understand that it can be, this quest isn't easy. It seems like, you know, we've got a bit of fun, there's some doodles here, we're going to get together and just talk about dreams, but actually we're digging really deep to get that as well. Okay. Does anybody else want to share anything before we move on? Okay with that? I mean, but we'll have a bit at the end where we can talk. Norma, do you want to say something?
Say, for me, the big ideas is just like, in a wonderful way, it's like painting the fourth bridge.
Right.
The more I put up there and the more I do, and I'm thinking, oh, I'd love to do that. And so this has really motivated me to think ahead and to think about all of the great things and not to put any constraints on it at the moment. I still feel like I'm there and there's more to dig up. So I really feel for what Chris is saying, because oh, I've got to get that done because otherwise the next bits aren't going to work properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just part of the creative process, really, isn't it?
It is. And that's why I kind of sharing with you and understanding it from your perspective as well, because that's different from mine. Obviously, we've all got different perspectives. And that bit about, like, when I was saying about how I capture ideas, we'll all do that differently. But for me, I have to do it in lots of different ways to shake it up until I get to the point where I can kind of see the big picture. You know, it starts off where it's a real mess and a jumble of ideas that I just put out there, but I can't kind of connect the dots or see, you know, what's related or what I want to take forward and what I want to leave behind. But as you go through this kind of clarity process, you're kind of filtering it out along that journey. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, so just stick with it. I know it can be difficult at times, but it'll be amazing. And when you get that moment of clarity, it'll be like, right, now I've got it. I've got it. So we're going to focus on passion this week. And we've moved into the land of possibilities, but we've got roadblocks along that way. So it'll be interesting to see what that throws up, which we've already talked about, some of those roadblocks that you've encountered. So I'm going to guide you this week to determine what it is that you really want. That sounds like a song, doesn't it? And you might still feel like you don't know what that is. We're going to focus on what you feel passionate about. We're going to start with that, to conquer negative self-talk, which is killing your ideas, destroying your dreams and squashing your vision. By defining and removing those roadblocks that's stopping you, I want you to have strategies that means that you're going to gain momentum. So on that train, Chris, you know, we're going to start pulling you along instead of you trying to catch up. And then, like we've just done, sharing ideas, asking questions, chatting and interacting is just fabulous. So yeah, this is something I'd like you to pop into the chat. What do you think the difference is between passion and purpose? Those two words look kind of quite similar, but yeah, if I asked you what's the meaning, what's the difference between passion and purpose? Be interesting to see what you think. And there's no, again, no right or wrong answer with this. It's just like your feelings behind the two words, passion and purpose. Because that's what we're going to be focusing on this week. We're going to be focusing on passion, and next week we're going to jump to purpose. So Norma sent me a message. She's saying that passion is stuff that gets a heart and that energy flowing. Oh, I like that. Yeah, it's a feeling, isn't it? Passion is about you, purpose is about others. Now that's interesting. So leading on from that, Eleanor, what you've just said there. Yeah, for me, I believe that, yeah, passion is that kind of inwardly focused, that kind of inward feeling. It's about that compelling feeling and emotion that you get. For me, it's that you get it from what it is that you love, what you love to do. So to me, that kind of sums up passion. And then purpose, I think, is more outwardly focused. So it's the reason why behind what it is that you do. So often the purpose of doing something, well, it's the motivation behind helping others. And often it's because you're trying to make a contribution to the world. You know, you're here to help other people. So that could be your purpose, but passion is more about that kind of deep inner stuff, about how you feel. So your passion, I believe, is your what, and your purpose is more about your why it is that you do it. Your passion is what it is that you love to do. And then when you bring together that passion part and the purpose part, I believe that's when you feel fulfilled and your life's got meaning, because you love what you do and why you do it, and you're making a positive contribution. So we'll be looking to combine passion and purpose together. So I believe that purpose is the reason why trailblazers are on this journey, and passion is going to be the fire that lights your way. So you're looking for your purpose, you're looking for your why, but passion is going to be the thing that's going to light your way. And this is another great quote. If you can't figure out your purpose, so why it is that you're going to want to do something, start with your passion, figure out your passion, what it is that you want to do, for your passion will lead you right into your purpose. So that's where we're going to start with passion. What is it that you would really love to do? So looking back at your big idea sheet, or it might be that you've got post-it notes on the wall, or you might have a list. And it might be that you haven't even got to 50 yet, or it might be that you've surpassed 50, but thinking about those, and I kind of gave a little bit of a clue earlier on with the goals, vision and dreams. It's about looking at those and then starting to think, well, what is the difference between the ideas that are on there, and to see whether you can start categorizing them. So you've got your tree again, your vision tree, but it's slightly different this time. Last time, the roots, it was kind of starting off this process. The roots were where you're going to plant your ideas. This time, it's about what are your ideas and categorizing them down into roots. So when you look at that 50 big ideas sheet, or however you've captured your ideas, which of them would you like to put under goals, something that maybe you want to achieve this year? Then under the vision, it's more kind of a little bit more long term, looking ahead into the future. So there might be 3-year vision, could be a 5-year vision. And then the last column that I've got there is your dreams, your 10-year dreams. Now, it might be that you achieve some of your goals quicker, or it might take longer, and some of your vision things or your dreams might happen within a year, who knows? But some of the dreams, they're the big ones, they're the big ideas that you might go, oh, well, I'd absolutely love to do this, but honestly, I can't see that happening anytime soon. Well, who knows, as you get on this quest, it might just be that they start to pick up pace and move forward. But at the moment, you might feel that, you know, they belong in that column of the big dreams that, you know, maybe is 10 years time. So if you can take some time to look at this, whether if you've got the sheet in front of you or if you've got a notebook, start jotting down ideas into your goals, your vision, and your dreams. So start categorizing them. Now, I know there's heads down, there's lots of writing still going on, because, of course, with 50 big ideas, there's a lot there to think about. What I'm going to do is guide you through the next process, because you will have something on the list, so we'll be able to step through the process. But as you think about new ideas and reflect back on this, you can add to your vision tree, because you've started with this process, literally planting your ideas in the land of possibilities. So I'd like you to look at that sheet and just choose one big idea that you feel passionate about. So what thing is jumping out on that sheet, and then just write that one thing in the chat. If you want to share it, if you don't want to share it with others, that's fine. But if you do have one big idea, what's it that you're going to pick? You know, so it could be to go somewhere, it could be writing a book, that kind of thing. But at the moment, it's just pick one thing. And as I say, it's a process I'm guiding you through. So it doesn't mean because you've picked that thing that you can't change it and pick something else at another point in time. Okay. So if you've all got one thing that you're going to focus on, and then I'm going to guide you through the next part. So thinking about all these big ideas, you know, any one of the ideas that you've got, have you ever thought, oh, I'd love to do this? Because we're talking about things that you're passionate about, things that you'd really love to do. And then did you say, but? That word, but, the roadblock. So I'd love to do this, but, yeah, have you done that? Because I know I certainly have. Well, that simple but, that word but, that's the thing that can kill your ideas, it can destroy your dreams, and it can squash your vision. And that might be something that you've been doing when you've been trying to put your 50 big ideas out there. You might go, oh, I could do this. Oh, but, oh no, I don't think I can do that. I can't write that in this sheet, you know? So yeah, that simple word, it's a biggie. It's one of the first roadblocks that we need to navigate. So if we go back to that one big idea, I can see that there's things coming in the chat here about books and global citizens and write stories and help people publish their book. There's some fantastic ideas here, things that you're passionate about, which is great. So taking those ideas, remembering those big ideas, the one thing that you're going to focus on and feel passionate about at the moment. Now, if you want to write that at the top of, I call this your but idea sheet. So I'd love to, and then on that line, write down what it is that you'd love to do. And then underneath the space for you to write all of the buts. So the things that's stopping you from doing that. Oh, I'd love to write a book, but, oh, I need a publisher. I don't know, I haven't got any money. I haven't got the time. Da, 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 da. You know, all those things that your mind then goes to. I'm going to give you some time now to capture them on this sheet, because this is an important process that we're going to go through. And then, yeah, it's going to try to overcome this roadblock. So the first thing is identify the roadblocks by all the things that you're thinking, I'd love to do this, but. So from the people that I can see with your heads down and scribbling away, there's lots of reasons, isn't there? You know, lots of buts, reasons why you don't think that you can do that thing that you'd absolutely love to do. I'm going to take you on this journey and we're going to overcome these roadblocks, because the first roadblock you need to overcome is this one, the but. And I want to tell you a story to show you, to illustrate how we can overcome this thing that's stopping us, this simple word, this three-letter word that's just stopping us from moving forward. Because over 20 years ago, I did an Imagineering course at the Disney Institute in Florida. And Disney have got these people called the Imagineers, and they've got a department called Imagineering. And what that does is it brings together the creative dreamers with the practical doers. So remember, when we reflect back to that first week, we had that sheet where we looked at the vision map of our minds. You know, are we more creative? Are we more practical? What's our superpowers? Or indeed, you know, is it a balance between the two? And then we also looked at our creative types. Now, Walt Disney knew that it was impossible to think of an idea and analyze the practicalities of how to do it at the same time. That it's different thinking, it's different mindsets. So when you're thinking about the but, when you're thinking about your big ideas, you're into that kind of like dreaming up something, but then that but, you're thinking about the practicalities of it. So instead of saying, I'd love to do this, but imagine saying, I'd love to do this because. Only one word changed. But the word because is empowering. So that highlights your reason and your passion behind what it is that you want to do, what it is that you'd love to do. So when you change that word but into because, you've then changed from a problem-focused mindset into a solution-focused mindset. What you've done there is you've identified your passion. So you've given your ideas almost like permission to grow. You said, look, it's okay. It's okay to think about this. Whereas before it's like, oh, I've got this great idea. Oh, but no, I couldn't possibly do it because of all this. We're kind of spiraling down. We're going to start spiraling up, you know? So remember that big idea that you felt passionate about? Well, I'd like you to use the same idea and write it on top of this because sheet. Now, as I say, I'm guiding you through a process. At the moment, it's easier to keep to the same idea. However, at the end of this process, and I know some of them on the last quest did this, they kept printing out these sheets, and every big idea that they wanted to achieve, they would go through this process with. So you can do it more than once. But for this time, just the same idea, write it at the top, I'd love to, and then write all the things. Because why do you want to do it? What's your passion? Why are you passionate about that one thing that it is that you'd love to do? And how did that one feel? Hopefully writing the because felt much better and not as uncomfortable as the but. Because when we reframe but into because, we're letting your passion empower you to overcome those roadblocks, to breathe life into your ideas. So again, another story for you. So when I was asked to do this talk and I stood up there and I saw that TEDx sign behind us, I was like, wow, TEDx Newcastle University, I'd love to do that. Wow, I love TEDx talks. That would be amazing. And then my mind monkeys kind of took over. So it was like, oh, wow, I'd love to do that. I was getting really excited. In fact, the reason I've got that photograph is I did say to the photographer, there was a photographer I knew in the audience, like, take my picture when I get up there with that behind me, because I wanted to visualize it. But I did think one day, you know, I might be a TEDx speaker, but probably no time soon, because I get really nervous. What would I talk about? Blah, 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 blah. And, you know, all those buts started to manifest themselves. I did apply, though, because I thought, you know what? I'll apply, but I'll probably not get through the first round. But that's okay, because I'll be on the first step. I'll have taken that first step, but I definitely did not think I would make it all the way through. You know, for me, it was like, that's one step closer, you know, and I just thought I tapped into the passion bit. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to apply. I'll be one step closer. That thing about you've got to be in it to win it. And then I just kept doing that. So every time I ended up having to do a different thing, you know, submit a video or something, I could have let the buts stop me. I could have gone, well, but I don't do videos, I don't do that. And sometimes there is a little bit of that comes into play. But I kept focusing on the passion, the purpose, like, why do I want to do this? You know, why am I passionate about TEDx Talk? Well, I love TEDx Talks because they're about sharing ideas. I love ideas. You know, by stepping into that, by focusing what it was that I was passionate about, why I wanted to do it, I achieved that dream. And I achieved that dream much quicker than I ever thought possible. It was delayed slightly because of the pandemic, but you know, within a year, I became a TEDx speaker. Now, if I'd have put that on my big dream sheet, well, in fact, yeah, I don't actually, I said I wanted to be a thought leader and share my ideas with the world. To be honest, I didn't put on that I wanted to be a TEDx speaker because to me, that was far too big. That would have been like I just didn't even think that that was something that I was capable of doing. So yeah, if it was on the sheet, it definitely would have been on the 10-year dream thing. So now looking back at this sheet, okay, so I've got an activity for you to do here. So when you've got your butt sheet, but yours will be full of reasons why not. Do this, crumple it up and throw it in the bin. Get rid of it. Now I've done this. Oh, I can see Norma's going for it. I could see Chris was looking quite shocked at the thought of doing this. And it's interesting when I have done this in a room for with people, you know, we've had a group activity and I've got my bin under my desk and I was taking it around and there was a lot of people that were actually holding on to that piece of paper. They were going, well, I can't put it in the bin. And I was going, why can't you put it in the bin? Well, I might forget what it says. Yes. And, you know, like, yeah, but I've got to hold on. Kind of like, I've got to hold on to the reasons why I can't do something. Okay, I get that. It might be too much. It might be that you've crumpled it up and it might be that you want to smooth it out and keep it for now. And that's okay if that feels like too much. Some people might just want to, like I see Norma saying, ashes to ashes in the fire. Yeah, you know, hers is going in the fire. Because, not but, we can stop ourselves. We can hold on to all those reasons why not. And it feels really uncomfortable to let go of them. I mean, what's that about? It's interesting, isn't it? How a simple word, that mindset thing. And at the beginning, I said, your self-talk will determine if your ideas become reality. So yeah, crumple it up, throw it in the bin, put it in the fire. Hold on to it if you're really not in that place yet that you can't let go of it. But at some point, you definitely will be able to let go. Keep hold of the passion sheet though, because we're going to need that as we're moving forward. So you've just planted your idea in the land of possibilities and your passion is given that permission to grow. You've started watering it. You know, I like to think that when we're planting these seeds of ideas, things that water them, that give it time to grow, it's your passion, it might be research, it might be time. You know, there's lots of different things that we can do to nurture that idea and move it forward. So that process that I've just talked about is something that you can go through with lots of ideas that you've got on your 50 big idea sheet. You've picked one for now, but if it worked for that one, it will work for other ones. And now that you've seen the process kind of in action as well, that clarity thing, I didn't want to kind of give the game away too much by saying, well, this is what we're going to do with it next, because you might not have wrote down some of the things that you did. Because again, as I say, you might just feel like you needed to hold on to those things. Now that you know what the process is, you can print off these sheets as many times as you want, or write it on scraps of paper and go through that process of thinking about the but and the because and start using that. So the first part of your mission this week is, you've started doing it already, it might take you a bit longer to finish this off, is to compare, first of all, each idea that's on that sheet. You know, is it a goal? Is it a vision? Is it a dream? And then start giving them some numbers. So again, you've categorized them into columns, but then what's your top 3 things? Because you can't focus on everything. So what's your kind of top 3 things that you want to focus on this year, and maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, and then the next 10 years? So I'll leave you with that mission to look at. And then the other part of it is that reframing the but with because, to let your passion empower you to overcome those roadblocks. So that's the thing that you might want to reflect on and do for some of those other things that you're going to think about doing this year that you could possibly do if you remove the word but from it. So open this up to discussion now. You know, what's been the most useful so far? And then, yeah, where have you getting clarity? Or again, like we talked about earlier, and thanks, Chris, for speaking up about that, where do you need more support? What's keeping you stuck? And let me help you to move forward with some of this stuff.
I think it's interesting when Eleanor said about missing last week and feeling behind. And I wonder if all my problems, if you like, come from I missed the first week, didn't I?
Right. Okay.
And although
you didn't get the energy of the group.
Yeah, I watched it on catch up, but it's it's brilliant that you can do that. But yeah, I wasn't actually part of the group, was I? I was kind of on the back foot, and I really wasn't sure what I was meant to be writing down. You know, these big ideas. I was thinking, well, I haven't got any big ideas. It's, you know, what am I going to do for tea today? Or, you know, just daft things.
So your mindset wasn't in that place.
It wasn't in the right place. I wasn't tuned in correctly. So I feel like I've made huge advancement today, and maybe some of that is about confessing that I was on the wrong track, and just allowing my brain to sort of relax a little bit and say, right, it doesn't matter, don't worry about it, you know, so then you start to plan it out.
So and it is interesting that, as I say, it's a journey that you're on, so that you at first you might be going, but I haven't got any big ideas, and I don't know, and I can't write, and oh, what's this and stuff. And other people have said to us at first they struggled with some of the big ideas. Some people have got so many ideas, other people can struggle with that, and then they might have a light bulb moment halfway through and go, oh my god, I'm not dreaming big enough. Whoa, you know, rip that sheet up, I've got bigger ideas coming. And then later on through the process, what started to happen then was people were saying that dreams were starting to come true, that started noticing that actually some of these big ideas, so maybe it might be that the big ideas has to be a tiny idea sheet. Maybe we'll start with a tiny idea sheet, you know, and big ideas are too much. So you feel like we're starting to get you back on the track then, Chris, have we?
I feel I have joined the train.
Yay!
I'm in the last carriage, you know, but I've joined the train.
Wow. I mean, that's a biggie. That is a biggie. If you genuinely like, you've had a moment of clarity then.
I've had a moment of clarity, I feel. Yes. Yes.
Brilliant.
And thank you.
And how did you feel about that, crumpling up the bit of paper?
Ooh, I'm not sure I'm ready. Well, it's on my notebook, so that's a bit more tricky, isn't it? But
how would you feel about ripping a page out your notebook?
Well, it's also got on me because underneath it, so maybe not.
Right, okay. Well, how about tearing the page in half?
I could tear the page in half, couldn't I? Yes, I could. Yes, I could.
It is funny though, isn't it? How, like, if you think about it, how these things that we do, and we'll put these kind of barriers and roadblocks in the way. And it's like, hang on a minute, it's a piece of paper, does it really matter? But you know, it's
it's your insecurities, isn't it? It's all the things that are stopping you from doing it.
Understand that. So hey, you don't have to rip it out, Chris. I won't push you that far. You've joined the train. I'm grateful you've joined the train. We don't want to uncouple that carriage.
No.
Fabulous. Oh, that's good. Anybody else got moments of clarity this week through doing some of those exercise? Norma, how did you find that? I think you threw yours in the fire.
It's in the fire. It's gone. Because I know if I just crumpled it up and left it, I would have been opening it up and smoothing it out and having another look at it. So I thought, no, it needs to go in the fire. Yeah, it's nice actually. And I think I've become really aware doing this of the gremlins and the little whispers and, you know, and actually I did struggle initially a bit more with the because rather than the buts.
Right. That's interesting.
Isn't it just?
Ooh,
Yeah.
so you knew all the reasons why.
Yeah.
Why not?
And, you know, I've written reasons down, but there's a bit of resistance there. So I'm going to sit with that and see what that's about. Yeah. And it won't all happen straight away. You know, these things we've held on to them for such a long time that we don't even realize sometimes what it is that we're holding on to. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's because there's so much work that I've told myself I need to do to be able to achieve that. I think that might be what's putting me off, because I just want to go do it now. I don't, you know, which is not practical. So yeah, but I just love doing these calls. In actual fact, I think if the calls were an hour and a half or 2 hours longer, I'd get more out of it, because when I'm on the call and doing it, just comes and you get on with it. But when I go in, sit, it's, oh, but I have to do this, and oh, if I don't do that now, and it kind of,
yeah.
yeah.
So Leslie, who's on the call, ended up booking herself a vision day, didn't you, on the last course? Yeah, on the last quest. Did you want to tell people what you did about that?
So
and how long you'd been waiting to
that.
do it as well?
I did exactly that. Because, you know, you get all these things, don't you, to do, these activities that just spark your mind off, and you get all these ideas, and you have them all sort of scribbled down and fit. And I just felt I was starting to feel overwhelmed, because I knew there was something I needed to do, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And I did. I blocked a whole day in my diary, and I had myself this whole vision day. And I'm a producer, so I'm not going to apologize for it, but I had my own little agenda, and I had my own little plan, and I worked through my plan, because that's what works for me. And yeah, and at the end of that, and I'd actually made a note of it, because it was this particular exercise that really sparked me off, is I went through my 50 big ideas, and I went through I did the columns, I did the goals, the vision and the dreams, and which ones were in the top. And then when I did the but, from the but to the because, and I did that, that was probably quite a big chunk of what I was doing that particular day. But what I did with the because is what I turned into my action plan. So it's not just I've written all these statements, because they are quite passive statements when you do it like that. It's like, so one of the things, my thing is, apart from the 9, I have like, I don't have 50 ideas, I have 150 ideas. My brain just needs to settle itself down. But one of the things I've always wanted is a chateau in France. And then, of course, I watched that program, Escape to the Chateau, and someone's beat me to it. But I love those programs anyway. And I was doing my but for the chateau. I'd love to buy a chateau in France, but am I too old to do something like that? Will I have the energy? Will I be able to make it pay for itself? These were all my buts. I can't even get this little house upgraded. How could I take a chateau on? And will I ever earn enough money? And the only other thing I did at that was, will I ever earn enough money? Yes, I'm confident in that bit. And then, but my because is, look, I love France. I've always wanted to live there. I have to live somewhere. Why not in a chateau? It will make a fabulous event venue in a business. I know I can make it pay for itself.
We'll all come. The Trailblazing Tribe will come.
Exactly. I'll have a whole retreat, but I'll have enough rooms to move around. I can do one room at a time. That was where I was going. I can do one room at a time and do a room, because at the minute I'm in my terraced house and I can't get anything done because I've got full of stuff. But never mind. But then I thought, well, why don't I buy one that's already been modernised? I don't have to do all of that. I just have to work a little bit longer, make a bit more money, a lot more money. And I've made, so that's kind of where I was going. And that is like my action plan is for what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so Anne and I were just talking the other day about our word of the year, which for Anne this year was ignite. Mine was purpose. And when I've looked at, funnily enough, I just did this morning because I knew I was coming on this. I looked at my purpose. I do because I journal every day. And on the 1st of January, I did all of my goals and all my dreams. And I haven't done any of them. And Anne will know when I come in, because most of my work is in the education field. And I do lots of resources. I do lots of writing. I write exams. I mark exams and everything. And that is on there that I have to do this particular piece of work, but it's the thing I've been trying to let go of for several years now, for the last few years, but it's the thing that I keep thinking is going to make me money. And what I've worked out today, when I looked at those plans that I did on the 1st of January, those goals that I have, I've only achieved one, and it's the education one, and I would have achieved that anyway. So I think I'm holding myself back by focusing on the education side. And so, and I keep saying I have to let it go. What I have to do is take this leap of faith, because I know that what I can do with my digital products and everything will make me enough money, but they're never going to make me money if I don't get them done and out there.
If you don't make your ideas reality, and your ideas are so valuable. So a tip from Leslie is, she did, I think you said that you'd been putting off for, because I said to you, you said it keeps appearing in my planner that I'm going to do this, and I think you said something like for 7 years you had it, but you actually allocated that time, didn't you, for a dream day, a vision day, to just sit, and I think your first day got waylaid, didn't it? But you were like determined. You were like, no, I am going to take this time. So there's the time on the clarity quest, but there's also time for you to reflect on this stuff as well. And kind of it's one of those things like you get out of it what you put into it as well. So if you can find time to do, to do some of this and dig deep, but it'll happen over the week.
Carve it out of your day somehow.
And it'll happen over the week. So next week we're going to be back here talking about, we talked about passion, another roadblock, purpose, although it doesn't sound like a roadblock, but we're going to do similar exercise with purpose and start focusing on, the next step is like how you're going to do it, and we're all going to overcome that as well. So have a good week. If you get stuck, anybody reach out to me, put it in the group, because I'm not going to leave anybody behind, and I don't want you to feel like you're not on this train, because we're all literally, we're in this together. We're going to help each other along this clarity quest.
The wagons, nobody's getting out.
Brilliant. Okay, so I will see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.